Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to your Tuesday edition of Second Breakfast. Hope you guys are all having a great day out there in TV land. It looks like the temperature is on the downward slope. Hopefully, that won't just be a dip and then go back right into the depths of hell. We're looking at like maybe 93, which is about 10 degrees cooler than it was last week, and I've got some stuff to do outdoors, so I'm hoping for the best. I hope you guys have a lot going on this week. I am looking forward to some new things hitting my mailbox any day now. Probably more like next week, but you never know. I could get lucky. I was looking at the Emperor's Choice website with all the new paints and paint products and things like that. Um, They come in these stopper type of bottles, your craft paint type of bottles, but they're not as big. But they're not the dropper bottles, but they, since they have the flip top lid, you guys remember that? Um, they will be, dropper friendly. And me and the boy, when we were doing our paint tests and whatnot, we actually put these up toward the top caps because when you shake them and take them off, if you don't spill the main bottle, you've got yourself a little bit of a kind of a palette here without having to actually have a palette. You can just dip your brush into the cap, and there'll be 3 to 5 brushfuls of paint stuck there that you can use. I need to come up with like a bottle holder, maybe I'll once I get them, I'll make something so that the bottles won't tip over, because since they're smaller, they're a little more like this size. I didn't see how many. uh, 17 milliliters, 0.57 fluid ounces. They're much. There's more liquid in the bottles. I forget exactly what, but oh my god, there's so many really cool metallics. I had only gotten through the metallics when I was looking this morning, but they've got a lot of other stuff, thinners and retarders and your base colors as well. And that's about as far as I got. But Army Painter only has about 12 colored metallics, if you will. Um, like blue and green, stuff like that. And this Ionic brand or Real Heavy Metal has probably 3 times that number, multiple versions of every color. The reds, which I was focusing on because everybody wants a good metallic red. They seem to have between 3 and 5 different versions versus the 1.5, because Army Painter has like a red and kind of a dusty pink color, and they've got some really really cool stuff. And now I just need to figure out how I'm going to put them all on the table. That's the biggie. Um, I actually need to look for a paint rack, something that stands up so I get multiple levels, because it's all laid out like this. I need something staggered. I have a paint rack over here, but it really doesn't hold that many. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 32. It only holds about 64 bottles, and that's just really just not enough. If I do it right, though, I might be able to cut off some of that fan noise as well. There's really not much I can do about it. I got to have it on. Sorry, Mac, and everybody else who gets annoyed by it, but I just absolutely have to have a fan on. Even during the winter, I have to have it on, um, to because it's really stuffy in here with the window just heating it up. So it sort of circulates the air, and even in the car when we're driving, even if it's raining or or super cold outside, or even if it's hot, I still want the window just cracked a little bit because I don't know. I need fresh air. I need to know that there's fresh air coming in, and you know the family just not a big fan. They either want the AC on or the windows up, one way or another. And I'm like, when there's four of us in the car, I can just feel breathing in their exhalations, and not a fan, not a fan. So I started stripping those minis I got yesterday, the Amazons, and the two Dark Sword minis that I came out. I dropped them in the LA's Awesome. I just found like a little plastic container about this big, and about 6 8 hours, clean as a whistle, down to the shiny silver metal. Already spray painted, primered one of them. Another one, it's got a little bit more to time needs to soak, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these Mordheim miniatures versions. I might just put them back on eBay. Um, they're a little too Roman for me, with the mohawks and things like that on the helmets. Plus, the hands are all missing, and I got to glue them on to see that. I just don't like those helmets. There's a couple with this goofy crop ponytail. I also don't like that at all. Um, and yeah, the other Dark Sword minis alone were almost worth the price of admission. But 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of these, I could probably, you know, get all my money back easy, putting them back on eBay. Provided I have all the hands. I think I'm missing like two or some such, so that's going to be another problem. I probably should look them up and see what they're worth on eBay because they could be, easily like, $10 figures each. So we'll see. But I am slowly getting stuff off my table to not just to make room for the paints and to get stuff done, for a change. But I also have a lot of new projects. I can't, like I said yesterday, it's like the 11th already of the month. It's just this month, just flew by. I don't know where the time went, but I'm looking forward to September. I need to also get ready my Sumerian September list. I'm going to alternate between gothic horror and uh, Conan esque stuff. Actually, going to veer away from just Conan and lean into some things like Red Sonja and Solomon Kane, and I might even see if I can't find some of Howard's westerns. That actually sounds kind of fun to read some of that. I have some of his other books in his gothic, not his gothic, but his like Lovecraftian horror stuff, and I have this paperback somewhere. You guys have probably seen it. It's purely you know Howard trying to do everything Lovecraft did. It's so Lovecraftian that it may as well have been written by him with just a little bit of obviously Howard's style. But maybe I'll review that one because that one's not a hard book to find, and it has some good stories in it. Because hey, what's up, Squirrel? Glad for it. Done with the summer. 103, 95% humidity. What's up, Squirrel? Yeah, like I said, it's going to be down to actually the 80s tomorrow or so. I wish it was today because I got to go to the bank. Um, but then it's going to go back up into the 90s, and summer's I think officially over the 21st of September, 20th or 21st, and that's still like 40 days away. So it's not here yet. We're barely, just barely over the hump, as it were. And this has been not the worst summer in a while, but it's like the second worst. The one when we had that drought, that was probably the worst one because our yards were just wrecked by not being able to water properly. And this year, we only watered twice, morning and the evening, but that still was verboten. Uh, a couple of years ago, you'd only water every other day or something like that, and literally nobody in our area abided by that except us for some dumb reason. Uh, and our yard was just yellow, dry, and crunchy. It'll stay hot here into November. Um, then we'll probably snow again in January. Yeah, we'll get some rain sometime between October and January, but it'll only be once. We'll get one couple of days storm, and I'm going to look forward to that. Um, it's just normally here. Halloween or the day after Halloween was the cutoff point for Jackie being able to ride to school. It would be about 39 degrees, and it would just be just too cold for him as a little guy. Once he got into high school, it was a totally different thing. He was riding his bike every day, didn't care. And any day now he'll be driving to school. Um, he's still got a couple more lessons he's going to need to get that under his belt, especially the parallel parking and stuff like that. Some other things his mom was mentioning that he's having trouble with, but we'll see. Although the first week he's probably going to be taking the bus, which uh, he's in for a little bit of a wake up call. He's never taken the bus by himself, let alone I think ever really, other than here and there with his mom on his trips to Mexico. 2 years in a row we've been covered in January snow. Here's hoping for a third year. I'm gonna run naked as hell in it after this summer. Um, yeah, I could imagine feeling that way. Who was it? It was Brian from Weird World War II. Told us how he was going to dance around in the rain naked because it'd been so hot that year. Speaking of which, I haven't heard from him in freaking forever. I might have to call him. I got to put him on my list of people to actually make a physical phone call to, um, just because I haven't heard from him in forever. I hope he and his family are doing okay. If you guys don't know Brian from Weird World War II, go check out the channel. There's somebody else I'm forgetting to call too. Oh, Armstrong. I'm actually going to call somebody in Ireland. Isn't that weird? Remember back in the day when it was like, you had to plan for that, and it would be like super freaking expensive and crap like that. Now it's like no big deal. Like long distance isn't even a thing when it comes to the phones, or at least not that I'm aware of. Maybe I'll have him call me. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll give him my phone number. That way he can call anytime because I'm certain if I call him, I'm going to pick some stupid time. He's going to be like, dude, I was sleeping. Well, wake up. Talk to your old buddy Shadow, right? So what are you guys working on? You got any games you guys are working on? Any big miniature projects, anything like that? I am. I am. I so want to open this Solomon Kane box set, but nope, 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 nope. This is like the longest time I've had a package that I did. I mean, I always open up the brown cardboard boxes, but this is the longest I've had something under my desk or near my desk that I haven't opened and just said, "Oh, I'll just take a peek." It's going on like 2 weeks, I think now. It does make a nice footrest. This thing's freaking heavy. I know most of the weight is the cardboard, the floor tiles, and templates and stuff like that that I'll never use. Um, but it's all good. Maybe Jackie will use them for some of his games when he starts having those again. He's not going to be having any anytime soon because a good portion of his friends are away for the summer or longer. But at least they got the internet and they can stay in touch. I mean, there are people when we graduated high school, never saw them again, just never. And that was a shame, especially my buddy Jimmy Walker, friends from kindergarten all the way through high school. I bumped into him once after high school, and then like, hey, yeah, we got to get together, to do this, do that. Never heard from him again. A buddy from uh, middle school, still pecking away at Samurai. The new brush is still performing well. Hey, did you see, Squirrel, that Splintered Light is selling actual some of his painted armies? I'm like, that's kind of tempted, but not going to do it because I got uh, no immediate plans to play 10 or 15 mil uh, war games right now. I wish I could. If I had the shop open, I I just schedule shit. I'd have this big ass board, like the biggest whiteboard you've ever seen, with games scheduled, and every week I would just freaking go nuts, inviting people to cool ass games. But out here, there's just no way. There's not going to have folks over the house. The wife would just not know how to deal with that. This guy's face. I got this mad scientist guy, and his face is just. I can't tell if it's my eyes are really really bad or if the sculpt and the goggles are really bad. Let's take a look, shall we? Static grass galore. I know, dude. That's one of those things that. Oh man, these goggles are kind of effed up. But everything else looks good on this paint job. Maybe a little bit too much black coming through from the Zenithal. I wish there was a white, like a real white freaking speed paint that isn't really just gray. Um, that is one thing that just irritates me much. Holy white and blinding light, neither of which are either of what they say, except whatever. You see the grayish tones on the bottom of the triad there? That's the color they are. They're never anything other than that. No matter how much I shake them uh, and beseech the speed paint deities, they just refuse to pick up the damn phone. You know what? Maybe let's try something because I really can't believe that there isn't a white speed paint. I mean, I know how to make it. I can make a contrast paint, but It'll just be white. With there'll be all it'll do is go and send the white into the crevices, which is not really what I want. What I want is something that maybe doesn't even exist. Um, I want, uh, yeah, basically a liquid dry brush where, uh, or a stain where the gray will go into the crevices and the white will stay up topside, and that's just, to be honest, I think that's only possible through a really really fluid dry brush. All my dry brushes tend to be a little dusty. It's probably because of the heat right now. Yeah, see, no matter how much I'm using my pokey stick to like see if there's any actual paint stuck at the bottom of the bottle, and it really doesn't feel that way. Because when I pull it up, there's nothing sticking at the bottom of the pokey stick. Okay, let's try it because now this one's wholly white, so we'll see. I'm thinking squirrel that static grass applicator is going to be something I'm definitely going to want for the some of the gothic horror stuff I do. Anything, especially like my scarecrow general, depending on how much space is taken up by the corn. Did I show you these? Did you see these? Squirrel? Corn. Who'd have thought I'd get excited about paper corn, right? The only problem is if you look at the tips of the corn, it's like the yellow part. They're actually like paintbrushes and very frilly. You can see the individual strands of not hair, but like hair, like you know, grass or whatever. And so I started painting it with a maize yellow to get it to stick together. But I need to keep doing it until it just becomes all stuck together. I might have to paint them upside down now that I think about it, so that the paint will pull. Gravity will pull the paint to the bottom, which is the top of the corn. But from a distance, it works. It works really well, and I'm probably not even going to need a quarter of the ones that I purchased. I think I got like 28 stalks or whatever, and I'm only going to need like 4 or 5 to put behind the general, and then I'll just probably make some rows or a row because it's really not that many afterwards. Um, yeah, I can kind of already feel that this is not gonna do what I'm asking for. No, it's still freaking gray as gray can be. You bastards. Okay, let's go on to the blinding light. You see that blinding light? Yeah. It's in the bottle. It looks at the bottom. It looks white, but I've never gotten good results out of this. And I've got a miniature that's going to be wearing like a white armor. Folks in my D&D game know who I'm talking about because they appear to be about to have a run in with him, and it's not going to be an easy thing. Yeah, they're going to get their asses handed to them if they don't come up with something. Oh, now here I'm seeing a lot more solidified paint at the bottom. A lot more, but no. Maybe it was just that little chunk, but it's still just freaking gray. I mean, it's a nice gray, but it's not white. Is there no? You could not uh, confuse this with white in any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. I mean, how do you get this to be gray? I mean, get it to be white. Let's give it a little shake. By a little, I mean like 45 minutes, right? On the on the lab mixer. I don't think it would. You'd still get what I'm asking for. For those of you not uh, with us the last 6 years, um, I watched the video from Goobertown, even though I don't watch him anymore because he's fake as hell and a bit of a cuck. Um, he did teach me how to make a contrast paint with uh, matte medium ink and a flow improver, about 2 mils of each ingredient, and I mixed up a bunch, and it worked out pretty okay. Just using like Dr. Martin's India ink. I've got the colors set here that I literally had sitting there for like over 5 years. I hardly ever use it. The only thing I ever use is the white. Uh, it's pretty funny, you know. There's a bunch of good colors. I do use the orange. Where is that? What the hell is that? Because um, like you guys, oh here it's way the hell over here. You guys know how much of a battle I've had with a good orange, a good solid bright orange. The lighting here is not doing it justice. Um, Fighting the sun over there and nothing over here. Um, and I think they put like 2 mixing balls in these now, which God bless them for doing it. But if the liquid inside is nothing like what it shows on the outside, it doesn't matter. Lordy, Lordy. I'm going to be doing a bunch of paint splotch tests in the next couple of weeks, going over. There is nothing about this. This is anything other than gray. Um, and mind you, I got the entire line of speed paints, all 90 bottles. And there's a Grave Lord gray, dark gray. There's an Ashen Stone. That's two, dark and light. And then you've got two even lighter versions with the whites. And then it goes into Burnt Moss, which is actually more of a green. There's still, I was going through the speed paint set, and out of the 90 bottles, there's still at least 45 colors I've never used. Never. It's something I need to remedy. And being able to see them in a better kind of rack might help to broaden my palette and retire these Reaper paints. I never use them. I just don't, and they're good paint, nice and liquid. They're actually some of my favorites, but oftentimes they're unusable because I can't read the label, or they separate so much. Like this, I have no idea what this is. Because if you look at the top, let's see if I can tilt it. It's so separated at the top. I mean, it looks like coffee almost. And then there's this one. It's like pink at the top and some sort of metallic at the bottom. I'm thinking it's copper, which is one of my favorite metallics. But Okay, yeah, they just separate unlike any other paint that I know of. So you really absolutely have to have some sort of paint mixer or a lot of freaking free time to shake a bottle of paint to get the color to mix properly. And um, that's one of the bad habits of us painters when we start getting into my level where 450 bottles of paint I only use about 60 because I just uh, get into the habit, and I was like, I know that color, I want that color, but you know, broadening my horizons and using more. That's driving me nuts, man. Chewy, what is your weirdo problem, huh? What are you doing? Huh? Nobody awake to play with you and give you attention and food? I fed you this morning. And guess what? It's your favorite day. It is his favorite day of the week or year or whatever, because he's going to get very, very wet and then very, very clean, and he has no idea because we have been very, very secretive about it, even though I'm talking about it right in front of him. He has no idea. Yes, you have no idea. You have no idea the joy in store for you. He freaking hates the process. He loves it afterwards. He's all happy, and he can feel the difference, and he'll still be, a butthead about it and go hide, and not want to be around us because he thinks we betrayed him. Um, but he'll go and prance around in the backyard. And of course, he'll one of the first things he has to do is roll around in the grass, um, which when it's all green and whatnot, it's not that bad. But when it's brown and dry and crunchy, and he's rolling around and just getting all stuck in his hair, oh, freaking! Why do they do that? I mean, I know it's like getting scratched, or whatever, but I've never wanted to do that in my life. He's a good boy, though. I've been watching a lot of dog videos lately, uh, trying to not watch the same crap that I used to watch or usually watch. Also, it's been kind of a slow couple of news weeks. Nothing, to try and terrify us with other than the the Taco Bell uh, outbreak kind of thing, which is funny because um, we never. Sorry, I'm scraping paint off the pokey stick. We never eat there. We eat at Del Taco, um, and even then, kind of only during Lent. I'm not a big fan of anything they make. The burrito is okay, but the veggie burrito is just meh. And they changed the rice. It used to be like a decent, Spanish rice, and now it's just white rice because they're trying to save pennies, on everything because of the ridiculous, price of minimum wage for fast food workers. It's crazy. Have I missed any comments? Nope, nope, just a slow day. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Got a game with Bloodworth this evening and the gang, and thinking about maybe starting the fantasy espionage game in September. Um, if all my players are still hanging on by then, um, I know it's one of those things. I should do a video on how long it takes to actually get a campaign up and running from the time you say, "Hey, I want to run this game," to "Hey, we're rolling some dice." But yeah, yeah, it's I have a feeling it's going to be a good rest of the year with hopefully no more big gotcha, freaking bad newsy kind of things going on. I still have this Reaper Dungeon Dwellers mini, and I have no idea what color to paint it. It doesn't seem worthy of red, but you know what? Now I think about it, we've got all those new paints coming in. I think we need to just put him aside and use him as a good test model for some of the metallics. But he keeps telling me to paint him purple, and while I totally dig that idea, I'm honestly thinking more black. Maybe black and purple. Oh, I missed a spot with the primer there. Oh, that's going to be a pain in the ass. I could just hit it with the brush on. What do you guys think of brush on primer? I've got one bottle. I use it for certain things very very sparingly. That was a time I didn't prime miniatures at all because I was using craft paint and I was putting literally like dozens of layers of watered down craft paint, um, just so that it wasn't so much painting as it was watching the water evaporate. It would be like 9 drops of water to 1 drop of paint, mix it up real good, and just sploosh it on there and let it dry. Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again until it finally just through repetition had enough coats on it, and it seemed to work out okay. Mostly for my 25 mils and stuff like that. I just couldn't uh, get to a place where I could get primer, and I didn't know what kind of primer to use. And for the most part, it just was just a thick layer. It would end up being a thick layer that would obscure a lot of the detail. And on 25s, there wasn't a crap ton of detail, especially in the old Grenadier Rolpartha Heritage days. So I wanted to be very, very careful not to obscure anything. And it worked out okay. One of these days, I'll break some of those guys out and show you some of my old paint jobs with nothing but craft paint. Because uh, I did that even long after I discovered Citadel and Vallejo, because it was just so much cheaper. It was like 68 cents a bottle compared to like just under like 285, $3 a bottle. And I still have hundreds of bottles of craft paint, and almost every one of them, I know if I add a little bit of water, uh, they'll be good as new. And some of their metallics are pretty freaking awesome. The I was talking to George about this. No, not George. It was Dave. Last week, the metallics from the old craft paints were some of them better than the army painter, even to this day. And the uh, craft paint color shifting paints are the best out there. Um, the Vallejo color shift paints, they all look white or pearlescent. And then if you turn them one way or you look at them a different way, you'll get that other color that they mention, but it's like glow in the dark paint. I don't want my army to be that sickly yellow glow in the dark plastic color. I want them to be the color, whatever color, and then glow in that color. And while there are a few companies out there that do make glow in the dark like red and blue, that glow red and blue, the original color is far more subdued. There's nothing you can do because as soon as you cover that glow in the dark paint with almost anything except a light wash or a clear coat, it stops doing its job. The sunlight or the whatever light it is can't get to it, so it doesn't do what you want it to do, and that makes it entirely pointless. And speaking of glow in the dark, I've got my collection of Universal Movie Monster plastic figs, like the ones I gave away for the craft challenge. I've got them in just the right spot, where when I have my reading light on and I'm reading for an hour or two before bed, when I when I turn out the light, they freaking glow very, very nicely. I'm thinking about getting a few more, not too many more, but a couple more glow in the dark items to put on some of the other shelves near them, so that I get the full, you know, sort of array. I saw some glow in the dark items from Marks, some spacemen and some things like that. Like I should have grabbed the spacemen because it was like they're like army men, but a little bit smaller than the 54, the 52 scale, and um, they were like 60s 70s era looking astronauts, kind of, but they were in that that off white yellowish plastic, and I'm like, that might not make a bad like ghost space ghost kind of monsters if I hit them with like a I've got this really great wash, and I can't believe I still have some of it. It's Viejo Mecha Weathering Light Gray Wash, and this stuff is freaking amazing, but I cannot find it anymore anywhere I look. It's weird because it's all the writing on the sides and everywhere is in Japanese. It's the weirdest bottle compared to all my other. Oh, wait, yeah, no, I guess it's this Mecha brand of theirs that's like that because this uh, orange fluorescent uh, has the same kind of markings on it, but it's the only all the other bottles of their paint have English on them. I use Viejo Gray Primer for airbrush with just a normal paintbrush. Okay, that's actually a good tip because I've got this Army Painter bottle that I've had for a couple years, and every once in a while, like with that dragon, if I miss a spot or I just have something that I'm worried that the spray is not going to be as thin and controlled as I want. I'm getting better at it, but every once in a while, uh, I will spray something and the weather is so hot or something like that that you get that sandy, pitted look to your miniature after you primered it. You're like, well, I can't use this. I found that rubbing alcohol, if you use a paintbrush, you can thin all that away and sort of actually wipe off the little crumbs, as it were, instead of just throwing it back in the LA's awesome and removing all the paint and trying again. But that only seems to happen in the hottest months up here, and of course, I've been inundated with crap I want to primer and paint, so it's hard because normally, up until like last year, the year before, I would do all my priming in the fall or winter, and it would be fine. Winter would be harder because the rattle cans also don't like the cold weather. And then I would just paint, whatever I had primered up. And I did a bunch of that with the vampires and gothic horror stuff. I've got this box. It's not that big. It doesn't seem like much, but oh crap, that was not cool. This little box is chock full of metal minis for next month and beyond. That reminds me, I also need to look up. Just put my pen away. I also need to look up a miniature base for Dracula's carriage. Let's break that out. Let's see if we can't measure that while we're here, just farting around today. This thing is freaking gorgeous, and I'm going to be taking my time painting this thing. How do you open this thing? What the hell? Can't figure out how to open this. Oh, okay. You guys are sneaky. That was a pain in the ass. Very, very sneaky. So we've got 4 horses. Kind of spiffy, kind of fancy for Dracula. Watch out, Chewie. So 4 horses pulling the carriage. I'm laying this out so that I can kind of get a rough idea of how much space it's going to take and how much space I'm going to need on the sidewalls. Pretty neat. There's 2 of those and standard roof, nothing special. But it's all, you know, solid metal. Okay, there's the undercarriage. Just leaving that there. I think I'm going to need more room over here. There's I'm guessing the front, and that's the back. Okay. Why the back door is wide open, it seems kind of weird. I might just make like a curtain out of like some dry baby wipes because there's no way. What's up, Timmy? Dracula's going to be running around with the back door open, for any old freaking vampire hunter to just come in and freaking spike his ass. Right? Oh no, there are doors. That's cool. Little wooden double doors. Nice. Okay, that works. 4 wheels, of course. Now the carriage guy, the driver, I'm not digging this guy. I'm not digging this guy at all. He's got this weird ass flat top. He's really hunched over because he's. I'm pretty sure this is like 25 mil, to be honest. But uh, the horses, they're 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 fine to scale with a 28 millimeter mad scientist here. Let's go look at. Same thing with the hooker. Okay, using her as a also example. Really like the way this one turned out. And then let's try something a little bigger. Scarecrow. He's pretty freaking tall. He's way bigger than the mad scientist. But he's a mad scientist, so he's probably not burly. Let's see. Tarzan's kind of hunched over. If he was standing straight up, yeah, it looks about right. So he's just a little guy, I guess. Um, but that haircut, I mean, look at that, guys. It's just what the high top fade. What's going on here? Also, the whip is just they always do that. Anytime I've seen a whip in or on a miniature, it's always just way too big. Okay, now here's some fiddly little bits, some lanterns. There's 4. I hope there's 6 of these. There are 6. Okay, so that'll be easy to space out and figure out where they go. Okay, I see there's little pegs there and there and there, probably to put them. The yoke and the harness. So being somewhat generous and giving things a little bit of room to breathe for the carriage. Put this stuff back in. Let's see how long a base we're going to need. So minimum, we're looking at. I mean, if this would be just like the very front end of the horse base to the very end of the carriage. Let's see now. I need. Okay. putting the wheel back here, the wheel's actually going to extend beyond that by a certain amount. So we're looking at minimum 18 centimeters. That's not going to do. We're going to need some breathing room, right, folks? I mean, that would be like the back wheel is hanging off the base, and the front hoof is just at the very edge of the base. So let's look at 2 centimeters in front and 2 centimeters in the back extra. That puts me at about 22 centimeters. Let's go 24 would be a little too much wasted space. 23, I'm pretty sure we're not going to find a base and an odd measurement. So we're going to go 22 centimeters. 22 cm. And then we'll put all this stuff away. And we'll go look around, shall we? Not like you're going to argue with me, right? Oh. But I'm telling you guys, this is a hell of a miniature. A lot of pieces. Designed by Andy Cooper. Name doesn't ring a bell, but Andy, wherever you are, you did a nice job. Just whoever decided how to put this plastic clamshell together. Vampire Wars. Oh, wait, West Wind's collectible 28 millimeter miniature. Copyright West Wind Productions, 2006. Huh. That's a bit of interesting information. The fact that it is in fact 28 mil and came out 2006. That makes it 20 years old. Something like this, in that kind of condition, brand new, everything there for $20 is just. I mean, seriously, if I saw this at $60 to $100, I might have still grabbed it. But I've seen some similar products by Blue Moon and a couple other people, also metal, around the $50 to $60 range. And if you wanted to get the Von Karstein or whatever it was called version from Games Workshop, uh, I guarantee it's $120 minimum for the plastic kit, and that's got plenty of pieces to keep the model builder and me, satisfied with putting it together. It's got a lot of fiddly bits with the wheels and the harness and all that stuff. I'm not big on you know uh, multiple pieces where it's really not necessary. Where you can tell they do it just to make more pieces, that just to have more things on the sprue. Because I'm betting that was probably just one spin cast mold about this big to get all the pieces just right. Let's see if River has a 22 centimeter base. 22 centimeters. I'm betting they don't. 96 millimeters is close, but not quite. And it's a big round one, so that doesn't help. I need like an oval. A rectangle would be ideal, to be honest. 166 millimeter oval, close but no cigar. 56 millimeter. I hope I don't have to like make something from scratch or something like that. Let's go back and put it in millimeters. So that would be what, 220 millimeters? And I'm certain they're not going to have anything like that. Not even close. So let's just take out Reaper from the equation, right? Let's see if anybody's got anything like that. We got a bunch of FDM or MDF, excuse me. Crap. Acrylic display case, that's kind of cool, but not what I'm looking for. 105 by 70, no. It's just pulling up anything with 220. The number 220 in it. I'm getting all kinds of crap. Railroad stuff. And let's do it the other way around. Let's put the 220 in the beginning. 220 miniature base. See if that changes anything. Huh, even less. I'm getting car parts and baseball cards. Oh, that's funny. 120 millimeter base round. Oh, I don't want the round though. That's so big. They got up to 130 millimeter. Oh wait, nope. Yeah, 120 is still 130 millimeter. Still not big enough. I'm probably gonna have to go to the craft store and look for something. I'm gonna have to like custom this. This is crazy. I mean, what do you do when you got a big old freaking dragon or something that you want to put on a base? I mean, I am SOL, or so it seems. Maybe I have to go to Etsy. Let's see if I can't get someone. I've got this guy right here. Let's see what this is. It needs to be dusted. Holy crap! Yeah, it's only 17 centimeters, but it's just a wooden base from our local craft store. Yeah, but it turned out pretty good. But it's not big enough. It's about three-quarters the size I need. So, oh hey, wait a minute. Well, looky here. Now I'm not going to use this whole thing, but uh, one of these cutting boards, I could at least cut this cutting board in half, down the middle here, and it's got straight edge on the other side. When I get one of these, if I get one really straight, and if I cut it just right, and maybe like double sided, like glue, like cut it in half and then glue it together. I might be able to use that at least for a temporary base because it's not very thick, so I could glue this down when I find a proper miniature base to put it on. I could at least assemble it on one of those. That's going to have to do until I can get it on something a little fancier. So I need to writing another note to myself. And it's 23 centimeters, so I get a little bit of extra room. And the only problem I'm worried about is that it might warp a little, but um, even after spray painting it and gluing stuff to it, it's still relatively, level and flat. I can see like one little warp in it, but that could just be from the factory because they're just cheap Dollar Tree cutting boards. But that'll have to do until I can find something better. The boy is awake, so that's not problem solved. But at least I won't have to because like as soon as September rolls around, I want to start working on that. That's like one of the top three things on my to do list for September. Although I also want to get to the Sigmarite Mausoleum. This is just this is just sick. Oh, excuse me. This box set right here. Um, Little mini mausoleums, all assembled. It's going to look something like that. But of course, you can uh, make it much wider. It doesn't have to be so tightly put together. But well, that gate is pretty awesome. But there's like two of each of these buildings in here. So there's one, two, four, six little mausoleums, and two of these statues, two of the gates, and a bunch of fencing. But I actually picked up some interesting. Let's see where it is. Fencing from Vampire Wars, and we've got some metal fencing like that, and then like this. I don't know if these are supposed to be the gates with hinges and stuff or something. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but I got enough of it to. Let's see if how well it matches here. If I can, weave it in between some of the fencing here. Oh, I think we okay. That's the GW fencing, and it's really spindly. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. This metal stuff is way more robust. But I think in a pinch, I can make it work. Um, Maybe if I put it a little lower in the ground. No, it's still much taller, but that's okay. I'm probably going to want to come up with some columns, some posts for the side. And depending on how I do it, I could alternate here and there. Because this stuff is like really flimsy looking. Maybe more realistic, but pretty flimsy looking. The gates and whatnot, these walls, and this is going to be a heck of a fun project. A lot of fun dry brushing. And a lot of cool little mausoleums that I could use for, like entrances to dungeons and things like that on a tabletop. They're traveling through the woods or the park or something, and they find a mausoleum. And then out pops some ghouls. I got to take care of them before they can, make their way inside. And maybe it's in the backyard of a haunted house because I did pick up a little haunted house something I didn't know even existed for chill. I know a certain big furry guy over in Canada who's going to be like, "Shut up, you bastard!" I didn't know it existed. It's a supplement for chill, but it's more of like an adventure board game where the rooms are only like tiles about this big, and you use little like sorry pawns, little colored tokens for your characters, and you move from room to room doing stuff. Um, but it's the collector in me, the completionist, saw it, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know that existed. And at first, I thought it was like a Teagle Manor. It's not. The rules or instructions for it are like literally like a big double wide fold out instruction booklet that's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's one sheet of paper but with 4 printed pages on it, so it's not really in depth or complicated. But back in the day, I could see for like 15, $20 you buy it. On Halloween or something, you play a little game of Blackbourne Manor. But it will definitely give me some ideas. What's up, Bad News? For my espionage campaign, should they ever travel into the nation of Ravenhurst. Yeah, I know. Uh, Dorky name, but I didn't want to call it Ravenloft, and I had to call something with the word Raven in it, just so people, knew beyond the shadow of a doubt. Here be vampires, because I mean, you're playing a gothic horror espionage Middle Ages fantasy RPG. There damn well better be some vampires, right? Um, I should put this one back too, because it's trying to clean up the desk and having little pieces out of place. And mind you, I got there's like only 5 wall sections in this pack, but I got 2 of them. Um, they're pretty solid, and I'm gonna make them somewhat modular so I can use them for other things as well throughout the coming years. But nice solid metal bases. It's like $10 a pack from. I think I got them from Noble Knight, and every once in a while, if I see more, I'll pick up more because you can really never have too many of those. And the ones I saw from Reaper, just I think you only get like 4, and I think they're plastic. So, which means that right off the bat they're going to be warped when you get them, and then you have to throw them in the hot water and know how to press them real quick so that they stay straight. And I'm just done with Reaper plastics. Even the Bones Black, I just don't trust it to stay unless it's injected mold plastic or it's metal. Probably not going to be buying too much more 3D print or anything like that. No, I have not had a chance to catch it. We had Rich on; he ran the game at. Oh, I talked to him every once in a while. I need to actually call him as well. He wanted me to talk to. No, I talked to Mark. Um, I think I talked to Mark. I'll have to check because Mark and Rich, they're like a dynamic duo team. Um, but I will. I'll try to catch it. No promises. I am so swamped, dude. What'd you guys talk about? Did they talk about the new paints or any of that stuff, or um, anything else you can share? And what'd you give away? Always curious to see what people are, you know, getting. for watching these shows. I've won a couple of things, but I'm more about you know giving stuff away. So it's a lot of fun. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like getting stuff in the mail all the freaking time. I got a couple of cool things yesterday. Was it yesterday? Oh yeah. I got the Amazons and I got that book, which I put all that stuff away already. That's a funny thing. That high from getting shit in the mail. For me, it's like about 60 seconds, and I'm on to the next thing. It's like cool. I got this. Oh, I got to do this. Don't even get a chance to enjoy it. I haven't even read that Blackmore Manor. It's 4 pages. That's it. And I haven't had a chance to read that. I think it's 4 pages. Let's take a look. It's mostly cards and counters. Yeah, I mean, that's the instructions. When did this come out? Credits by Chill, role playing game by Paysetter. Welcomes all correspondence regarding our products. Uh, Delavan, Wisconsin. Troy Denning, David Martin, Stephen Sullivan. Yeah, nobody famous that I recognize. When did this freaking come out? You'd think there'd be some info on the credit. Oh, 1985. Holy crap! No wonder. This was back in the day when you could get away with this is the instructions for anything from you know miniature painting set to little mini war games. I won a bunch of bargain offers on drive through and can list some of my favorites if someone wants me to. Uh, like for sale, uh, Shadow, did you announce the game pitches yet? Um, I'm not sure what you mean by that. At CHRKEL, the Churkle. Um, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Uh, Christmas in July last month was great this year. uh, yeah, we gave away a copy of Harbinger, Obsidian Dice, and a couple of map slash cards. I just ordered the Obsidian Dice. Hope they weren't my copy, bastards. I've got my copy of Harbinger there. Mine was the first released. And I've got what one, two. I bought 2 copies I'm giving away or trading, and then I've got 3 more. I bought 5 copies of Harbinger, and probably giving them all away. No, I'm keeping that one. That was one of the ones I actually. Yeah, so yeah, I made an order last week. I ordered some dice and some minis, so I'd have something to test the paints on. And then Dave's working on getting me the complete line of paints out to me so I can start testing them. Um, Not really in a hurry because the sooner they get here, the sooner I'm going to try and test them, and trying to test them uh, in this weather. It's actually nice in here. It's not that bad, but might want to have to break out the wet palette just to really give them. Actually, that's not entirely true. I should just use them on a regular palette, see how they dry, how fast they dry, and things like that. A wet palette might skew the results. Uh, oh yeah, if people want to come on and uh, uh, pitch their game that they're looking for people to join a game, absolutely. Um, you can come on the show. Just find me on Discord, Shadow and Sun, just like you expect. And find me on Discord. We could talk. We'll have a little combo through you know the phone call, video call, get to know you, and then have you on, and you can pitch your game. I think there's a couple other people actually asked me about that, but I forgot when I said I was going to do that, like the first or last day of the month or some shit like that. Sounds like something I'd say. We did talk about the paints. I mentioned you and Ducato. Yes, looking forward to using them and getting the most out of them. They look the metallics look spectacular. If they perform and look the way they do on the website, we're gonna have some fun with them. I've got a bunch of sci-fi minis that I will be painting for. Uh, Maybe I'll start them in December, or maybe I'll wait for next year. I want a $30 free shipping AD&D 1E 79 DMG. The Wizards orange spine cover intact, decent no graffiti, no rip pages or substantial cracks, and that's the best deal of my life since '82. Um, on eBay, I guess. Like one of these, or the newer, or the other version, because this from Drive Through cost me like $28 or something like that, and it's perfectly serviceable. Um, I've got an original back here. I've got another one down here, and I've got another one in the garage. Always looking for extra copies of AD&D books. I could literally, if I had 10 of each, I would still be looking for more. Just for the store and for posterity. I honestly think that while White Box is a great collectible to have in your collection if you're an investor and a collector and a speculator, absolutely something you should have in your collection. Never touch it. Yeah, obviously same book. I know which ones you're talking about. They had kind of the same, kind of a similar cover, but a little bit different as well. Um, like their 30th or 40th anniversary, was that it? Um, and absolutely, what the hell was I talking about? Brain fart, dude. Sorry, I was also painting at the same time. Uh, but the drive-throughs are perfectly serviceable. Uh, right now we've got until September 15th will be the buying season on eBay. After that, the prices are going to go up on everything by anybody who's, you know, doing the eBay thing for an actual profit. Otherwise, I mean, you might find some bargains out there. That's always the case. And with this economy right now, those uh, standards or the way I go about it, I buy from February 15th to September 15th. That's when I buy stuff in mass. And then September 16th through February 14th, I'm selling like crazy. Oh, the Green Road Wizard opening the gates. Okay, okay, yeah. Oh, it was still TSR, not WotC. It was yeah. I don't own any Wizards of the Coast books. The Easily cover. Okay. Hey Coco, what's happening? We were just talking about the game. Probably going to start in September if everything works out. And we've got Bo, we've got you, we've got Melkor, we've got OGGM, maybe Bloodworth, and maybe Mike Dymart. That would put us at 6, and I'd be freaking loving it. And um, but I have a feeling Bloodworth's not going to make it, so we'll still need 2 more people. Maybe Mike. He's always a good fit, and he plays a great cleric, so that would be helpful. Um, But if he wants to play a thief, that's cool too. The revised edition 1983 has the. Okay, yeah, I think I have a copy of that one. I'm not a big fan of those covers though, to be honest. The DMG is kind of cool. The player's handbook is completely uninspiring in my opinion. I forget what's on the monster manual. Uh, I it's like this. If I can get the older covers, I'll get the older covers. Having a set of the new covers is just a collection, a completist sort of mentality thing. But yeah, I don't own a single Wizards of the Coast book, and the Wizards of the Coast miniatures I have, most of them are um, they're okay, and if they don't wilt, I'll keep them. But it's the first sign of wilting, into the garbage they go. That I can't do anything with them other than chop them up and use them for bits and pieces. Yep, is the Pegasi versus the Red Dragon. It's okay, but it reminds me too much of the original Palladium Fantasy RPG book cover. It's kind of got the same thing: a guy on a Pegasus fighting some sort of gray white dragon or whatever. I'm not sure which came out first. Um, and you know, we'll see. Uh, I haven't really been shopping for more, players' handbooks and things like that, just because there's a lot of other stuff to get. It's usually like if I see them at like a really good price, like $25 a book, I'll grab them all day long as they're in good shape. Um, Unlike my original player's handbook. Oh man, you could barely tell what's on the cover. It's so worn, and like I said, I can roll it into a tube about this big, with very little effort. It's so worn. I mean, it's like unbelievable. And somewhere out there, a buddy of mine has my original DMG, and I know it's mine because it has literally electrical tape holding the spine intact. The outside spine. I don't even care. I own the original Greyhawk supplement. I played it for the first couple of years of my playing D&D because I didn't know any better. And as soon as I realized I could make my own worlds, I put all that stuff aside. I have no interest in running a world that I get it. There's the camaraderie. Like we all can remember Keep on the Borderlands. We've all been there. We've all done that, right? Uh, but the problem is we've all done like almost the same thing. Those things are built to where you're going to go to the path of least resistance. Most people do, anyways. So the vast majority of the people that played Keep on the Borderlands had kind of the same experience. So it's akin to like watching a movie, like watching Clue. You may not have seen the ending I saw of Clue, but you saw the main portion of the movie, just like I did. And with my world or much lesser known worlds, there's more wiggle room and there's more freedom to do what you want. And the few worlds that I'm kind of really partial to, I still can't. I just uh, I just can't picture running them anytime soon. I do want to run Mutant Chronicles one last time. What is the brown ball on the shelf? George, this is a balloon left over from my birthday. It's funny. People have been wishing me a happy birthday last couple of weeks, and my birthday was months and months ago. What you're seeing on Facebook is the birth of the channel, which was like August 4th or August 6th. We made the first video, and it's funny. I usually don't correct anybody because it doesn't matter. Um, I don't want anything for my birthday. I don't want people sending me stuff, um, unless it's big boxes of books. Um, no, I'm kidding. I've had a lot of people send me a lot of really cool stuff over the years, and now uh, I, 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 I kept up my end of the bargain, James L. Uh, the year's coming to a close. Yeah, I'm still waiting to see your channel, James, because I guarantee it, when people see James L's channel, they're going to go over there and he's going to have 1 million subs in a week. Um, how you doing, George? I hope you had fun Saturday. I was insanely frustrated with Foundry and trying to use it on my laptop. Um, Even if I wasn't live with the same device, I know it wouldn't have done any better. And without a mouse and all that to do certain things, I'm just like, it's so overly complicated. Even when we were playing in Bubba's game last night, uh, I don't need that much visual representation to get a game across in my mind. We played for decades with barely any scrap paper. Uh, you're close. I don't remember when exactly Cobain was born. Uh, I wasn't even a big fan. He was what, the singer for Nirvana. I think I have their first album or Nevermind. Uh, we all did. I got mine from Columbia, and that was because I got to pick a bunch of CDs. So I just threw that one in there. Much agreement, making your own world is the way to go. But I do find inspiration. Yeah, absolutely. I'll never stop reading for inspiration. Scroll says Foundry definitely has a learning curve. Nito, when mastered, cool. Yeah, definitely 67. But theater of the mind, man. Me and my buddies in my room. I mean, we could barely see each other, most of the time. And my room wasn't much bigger than this studio. Now that I think about it, and we did just fine. We so he's older than me, or would be older than me. We played for years and years and years, and when we were at the shop, we had the dry erase board. We had some minis and dice. Half the time, we just used dice as minis because we didn't have a lot of minis. But the dry erase boards were great. There were these big grids covered with like a vinyl or something, and a spray bottle, and we just drew the floors, drew the maps, and I'm telling you that was some of the best gaming I ever had because I could draw on the fly whatever I needed, erase it. It didn't have to be super detailed. I find that things like Foundry and Roll20, when they're at their height, they take away more immersion from me than when I'm doing it any other way. I I don't have to imagine anything; it's right there. Okay, it looks like that, So it's more like playing like an analog video game, and there's no immersion whatsoever. It just kills it for me. I don't have to picture anything, so my brain doesn't even try to picture the world. The monsters, that's different because those they rarely do properly. Occasionally, Bloodworth brought some really cool images for tokens, not tokens, they're images, um, but puts them out there. It's like, okay, I know what the monster looks like. I'll try and close my eyes and imagine it, but I find that it was all these bells and whistles honestly take away from the way I want to play. I don't know about you guys, but I want to picture it more than see it. Now, the minis that I paint and things like that, it's kind of a different thing. And don't get me wrong, I hope to put each and every miniature on a tabletop at some point or another, or they're kind of you know losing like a third of their value to a half of their value. Obviously, half the value at least is just painting in the process and the enjoyment of looking at the finished things. Like I did that. That looks pretty good. That's believable. But then the other half is putting it on a table and going, dun, surprising your party with the Great Pumpkin or whatever on your table, and that's like those Stranger Things moments when they did stuff like that, that takes me back to the way we played, not you know a perfect one-to-one representation. You know, done up visually. And I say that having just recently, since I got my night cafe account back, dweebs. I started making images for some of the NPCs in my new D&D campaign because I need the rogues gallery images of the king and etc. So they can see the picture and go, oh, okay, that's what he was trying to say, um, or describe, and then we can you know move right along. Um, there's going to be a much larger cast of characters for this game, and describing them sometimes, I was having a little bit of that problem in a game a while ago, where how do you describe the difference between the king, the wizard, a chamberlain, a counselor, a diplomat from a foreign nation. They all have long dark hair with some streaks of gray. You gotta know um, how to do that really well, and without doing voices. If you want to make an image of an NPC not look like an image of another NPC, you've got to add some other details. I learned from reading Sherlock Holmes. Little details about the way a person dresses, what they're wearing, what they're doing in the pose, will tell so much of the story. These subliminal little clues that your players will be able to put one and one together and get three because of their own inner math, doing these calculations and figuring out oh, hey, that guy's the bad guy because he's got that little twinkle in his eye and none of the other guys have it. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. That's why I dig looking at old 80s videos of people playing, as that's exactly like the old commercials for Dungeons and Dragons before the panic, which I say like that because I literally knew, uh, Wiccans and Satan worshippers are all the same, as far as I'm concerned. They were literally doing the evil shit before the game. Had to have the black candles, and worse. And so some of those moms were not entirely wrong. Some of the ways they went about the things, and in some cases, maybe it was completely unwarranted. But out here in California, I mean, you got to remember, uh, during that exact same period of time, Anton LaVey's church was pretty strong and in no danger of collapse whatsoever. And every single person that went to that church, and that's using that word highly inappropriately, that went to Anton LaVey's satanic temple. Every one of those people played D&D. Every one of them. Um, if not every one of them, 9 out of 10 played D&D. To say otherwise, or to assume otherwise, is just not realistic, especially in California in 1980 on. Um, if they weren't playing regularly, they had played at least once. Um, so I get it. And now it's weird because now they've gone the exact opposite direction. What, Anton? Uh, um, yeah, I wouldn't even know what to say. I'd be like, "Where's my knife?" No, I'm kidding. Where's my Glock? No, I'm kidding. I just I don't get it. With the Wizards of the Coast, they kindly kind of. did a 180. It's like, oh, let's be satanic. Let's do all that shit. Let's do everything possible uh, to shit all over the legacy of Gygax and Arneson and all the early contributors. Because as most of you know, Gary was a I'm not going to say devout, but he was a Christian, and probably never did any of the shit that these people are doing now. Um, and I don't care who they get rid of over at Wizards of the Coast. It doesn't matter. There's too much uh, poison and taint in the mix. The 180 came because White Wolf ate their lunch. Maybe Dean. I don't know. It's just back in the day, the whole half demon, the Cambion, the Alu, um, what they would call tiefling, which is weird because uh, I could swear tief is like kind of like the Irish pronunciation of thief, which I suppose could be demonic or whatever. He seemed like an old bohemian hipster to you. Well, he was, among other things. Yes, there was most definitely real occultist, non-Christian, definitely some overt Satanism that utilized Dungeons and Dragons, and that element was far from limited to exactly. Most of the people that I knew didn't live anywhere near Frisco. California, yes. Frisco, no. Um, and now they just let's just do all that you know satanic crap and I mean, if there should have ever been a satanic panic, it should be now. You know what I mean? uh Fortunately, um most parents went through it, so that have kids that play D&D. Like I've met some of the parents of the kids that played with Jackie, and they went through that era like me, and they knew it wasn't that then, but it is now. But the kids aren't really participating in the occult shit that they participated back in the day, the ones that did. And it's really the company, and you're not gonna the kids are either going to embrace that crap, or they're not. For the most part, they're not, but they're still going to end up doing some things maybe on accident that they don't realize is probably not good. There's no maybe. White Wolf literally took. Oh yeah. I didn't buy. I've never. Well, I read part of one of the White Wolf books when we were playing. I think it was White Wolf when we were playing an Exalted one shot over on Gatekeepers or Table Breakers, and I spent like for a couple of those games for Gatekeepers and Table Breakers, I spent like 10 hours studying and trying to build up my character. Right, only to play about 2 hours. And it was at that point, it's like never again. If you invite me to a game and I got to spend more than 30 minutes reading through and making up a character, uh, that's why I don't like Pathfinder and 5e and all the games with the feats and things like that. I don't mind looking up first level spells for a first level character. That's fine. But when I got to read every freaking feat to see which one I want, and then which ones I'm going to take after that to optimize. I don't have that kind of time to dedicate to what could be a very very short lived game. I'm surprised the Book of Ebon Binding never showed up on any satanic panic lists. I even saw a copy of it in New Orleans, the cult shop. Um, I vaguely recognize the name, but I couldn't tell you what it is and what it's for. Because I always laugh when I'm going through some of the H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard and Ashton Smith and August Derleth's titles for books that never existed, but they're still on lists for people trying to find them, thinking that they're real. Like the Necronomicon. I remember seeing that in Epic magazine back in the day. This big deluxe hardcover leather bound brass fittings and all that shit copy of the Necronomicon. You know, like it was a reprint from the original that never existed. I've literally got a book um, in my collection that talks about how H.P. Lovecraft came up with the name of that book when he was 13, writing Arabian Nights style stories that I've never seen. I've never read any of his Arabian Nights stories in any of his books. I don't know where they came from. That's the Tucumel book of demons that Mar Barker wrote in the 70s. It's quite gruesome. Yeah, I haven't read any of his work yet. I've got Pedal somewhere in my collection, and I recently picked it up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to read it. I looked through it, and I went, I don't like this. Um, if I got to learn a new language to play a new game, I just don't have that kind of time or that kind of enthusiasm for something that's doable in a much easier fashion. You know, it's just what's the point? I mean, it has to have some amazing selling points. And looking at all of the Pedal Throne books and artwork and things like that, just doesn't just doesn't do it for me. I don't know anybody who's actually. If I do, I don't know if they have actually played Empire of the Pedal Throne. I remember hearing about it growing up all the time, all the time. Oh, it's this thing, it's great, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, really wasn't. If it was, we'd be talking about it a lot more, right? Proofs in the pudding. If it was that spectacular, uh, there's a lot of dipshit influencers in the OBI trying to expecting their audience to believe FBI Ted Gunderson findings of Satanism in North America was false, and such people can uh, do something impossible to themselves. Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of having help bring kids back home from things like that. I know all too well that there was a lot of, and still is, which bothers the hell out of me. We'll talk about that maybe tomorrow or something, because I'm going to hit the road in about 15 minutes. Tucumel is interesting as a setting and worth looking into if you're into world building, but the GM it never in the OSR. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. It was OSR, um, Xnard. Uh, yeah, I've read hundreds and hundreds of worlds and world building books and things for warning. Exalted. I'm sorry. Don't be Mike. I just it wasn't the idea of the game. It wasn't even the mechanics. It was uh, the GM who ran it had all the fun, not us. His NPCs got to do all the cool shit while we just watched. I think I rolled like dice once in a two hour session mini exploration of the game. It took me 10 hours of reading and cross referencing, trying to build my character and figure out which powers and abilities, etc., I had or wanted. And it seemed to me that building a powerful character should not take 10 hours to do it. My character wasn't even that powerful, to be honest. It was okay. I mean, uh, it probably would have been a lot more fun to run in another situation, another place, another time, whatever. Um, but it's just too much work. And I didn't even read the whole book. This was just going back and forth with the PDFs I was sent of you know just the stuff they thought I would need to build a character, and it was just way too complicated. I think I spent less time in my speed Spanish college course I took, which was like 6 or 8 week course, and I think I learned more there than I did reading and trying to play Exalted. To be honest, I can make up an Amber character in about 30 minutes and be way more powerful and way more fun. One setting that's coming out that might be worth getting is the Zofik. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. RPG supplement. Too bad it's only 5e and Shadow Dark, but the original. I have never read anything Clark Ashton Smith related. Probably should, but everything I hear um, doesn't inspire me. Um, and maybe if I can find one of the anthologies that's not super expensive, which is weird because those books are really expensive. Like I can pick up the complete fiction from H.P. Lovecraft for like $50, maybe even less used. Cool, that's a solid investment. Uh, I'm glad I have. I've read it multiple times, and every once in a while, I might even read a little this October or November. There's a couple of stories. Um, I played it, but it didn't match the advertising, so to speak. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. How do you do, Stephen? Hyperborea. Yeah, everything about Hyperborea is everything I don't want in a game. Um, I don't want just Earth stuff taken from Earth, clipped apart, and glued back together in another mosaic. I don't want that. Even Dying Earth is so removed from earthly nations and cultures as to make it completely alien and more to my liking. You just had a downpour with some crazy high winds. Yeah, I noticed there's like a weirdness in the air today. I'm hoping it's going to be to my benefit when I go to the bank. Um, it was like cooler and not so dry. I could feel, but it's just Earth, dude, with things mixed and matched. It's like those those puzzles where it's a square and it's got like nine or whatever number of blocks, that you can slide, and only one of them's missing. Those slide puzzles that you mix it up, and then you got to put the picture back together. It's like that. You take Earth and you just slide things around randomly, and because of the random new location, it's different. Yeah, but it's not. It really isn't. I'm just playing, in somebody's, jumbled up memory or re rearranging of Earth history and cultures that are unchained or changed, just moved. You take your Vikings, you put them over here. You take your Romans, you put them over here. And by here, I mean time and space. But the cultures themselves are identical. Kind of just boring. And then you throw in some H.P. Lovecraft and monsters like that. And what's the point? Um, the idea that you can never really become powerful and famous and rich and successful is also a huge turnoff. When you tell me no matter what I do, I'm still going to just, be a, little more than a peasant and die to some Cthulhu monster, I'm like, guess what? By not playing, I don't have any of those bad things happen because there's not enough good. If you say, oh, the excitement, the adventure, dude, I've lived through thousands and thousands of adventure games and whatnot. Offer me riches and wealth and more than I can imagine. Like the line from Princess Bride, you get my attention. But if you're just offering, adventure, I don't want that. I want wealth. I want power. You offer me those things, we can talk. You live close to the border of Mexico, and I wonder how often you need to visit there and eating. Uh, well, my wife's Mexican. You've died 4 times now. Sorry, I got to catch up. It's the granddaddy of Grimdark, and uh, I have Spanish relatives or Mexican relatives, and I don't speak Spanish to them. Um, if I was in Mexico, I would, but I'm not. I'm in California. That makes it America. That means speak fucking English. Well, Hyperborea is flat, so checks out. But you did well. Bad news bards. Who told me what? Shadow. Who told me what? But it also offers me, the compromising of my morals, values, and principles and ethics in ways that not a fair trade. I mean, there is no fair trade, but like I could play Amber, or I can play Arduin, or I could play Traveler, or I mean, hell, I can roll up a Traveler character, right? Roll them up and start out to the point where I'm like, okay, I rolled up my character and I got all this cool shit. I'm retiring. What? There ain't nothing you can offer me. I have got all this cool shit to start with. I'm retiring. You can literally just go through the process, rolling up the character, and make a character that's better than 99% of all the characters ever made. Happier, wealthier, more successful, just by rolling the character up. And I can fit in all kinds of crap in between the first die roll and the last die roll as part of my backstory. I win. You know, the saber tooth death was the best. You were a living cat toy floating about 10 feet up. I think that's called falling with style. Um, and don't get me wrong, I've had some very epic deaths and very epic moments, but you got to really, offer something new and more than just the word exciting or adventure. Because I mean, after 50 years of doing this shit, kind of done a lot of it, and that doesn't even take into, like Chris here, the appendix and uh, all the books I've read. You're gonna have to work really hard to top any of that. In the appendix end of the Arduin Adventure, Argrave called the Zovik stories the progenitor of Arduin. Okay, but at $250 for a buy-in to buy a novel or anthology, that's kind of spendy. There's a whole lot of crap I can do with that kind of money. Uh, hey, anytime you want to run a game for me, let me know. If I've been doing this for 50 years, I would have started when I was 4. Right. Well, I'm not quite 50 years. It's 47 years. Uh, but I started very early, and right off the bat, I was running games at 14 for people our age. I mean, tables full of people every day after school. I'd go to this place, and I would dungeon master, and I'd get paid to dungeon master for people twice, 3, and 4 times my age who had a blast. They would come back week after week. Um, a lot of people I let play for free because can't run the game without so and so, but so and so doesn't have a $1.75 to be here on the books. So um, I still brought in a lot of money for the shop, and I learned a lot of early lessons, and you know understood what the players are there for. And despite what some egotistical DMs would say, um, it's all about the players. Yeah, I my first game was in 7th grade, and it was 67, 77, 78 or 79, something like that. And by the time I was a freshman in high school, I was dungeon mastering at the shop every spare hour of the day. Uh, I plan on giving the player's book Hyperborea and read through. Enjoy, man. You know, what happened to that regular here from 2 years ago? Uh, no, Exnard. He actually told me he could no longer be friends with someone who supported genocide unless it was against the Jews, um, because I voted for Trump, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, probably because I was talking about that, that shithead who doesn't, uh, who is no longer part of the family of friends we got here. Um, that was a long time ago, and um, so many people told me that that's why they weren't watching the show. It's, don't worry about it. Bad news. A guy who used to hang out uh, on this show and me on his show a couple years ago, I think, and it was just everything had to pivot to anti-Semitism, something I can't condone. Not in that way. I mean, there's bad people everywhere and in every group, and uh, you know, wholesale blanketing them uh, is not something I can do as a Christian. I can blanket 90% of them, but not all of them. I have to leave that opening that there might be some good folks in certain groups, um, but it's not important. Bad news. I'm getting ready to run a Wednesday AD&D fantasy espionage spy thriller kind of D&D game. Wednesday nights at about 5 p.m. my time. We've got room for a cleric. It's got to be a human cleric, and a human or dwarf or elf, half elf, whatever. Thief would prefer to be a dwarven fighter thief. That's kind of would be the best fit. And human cleric, everybody's got to be good in alignment. Uh, uh, we're all God's chosen people. That's the problem with that whole premise. He made everybody. I can't believe that he made anybody as a mistake. Oops! Oh, I screwed up. I made the so and so's. No, that's not how that works. But I got to get going, folks. We can finish this discussion tomorrow. I've got to do some banking and some other stuff. Mike, I hope I see some rain. That would be wonderful. the starting level of the characters is first. They will all be coming from the upper crust of society, so they'll be starting out with kind of a high soch, and you know, so money's not going to be a problem because they're going to be working directly for the king. If they say, "Hey, we need this," he'd be like, "All right, guys, better not be freaking padding the invoices there." But that sort of thing, looking to root out a death cult that's plaguing the lands. But we can talk more about this again tomorrow. I will see you guys uh, 5 p.m. Avocado time, and I'll be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Avocado time. Until then, folks, love you guys. God bless, and as always, happy trails.